Well, welcome to Gold Fever Adventures. My name's Jack Tucker. I'm out here in the Arizona desert. Came out here this morning, want to do me a little bit of prospecting. The sun's not even up yet. It is June. It's towards the end of June. It's about, the days get up to about 110 degrees, so it gets a little bit warm out here during the heat of the day. So when you're out like in states like Arizona and other states that heat up pretty hot, you got to get out early in the morning to go out and do a little bit of prospecting. So I'm out here this morning. I'm going to do me some dry washing. We're going to talk about dry washers. We're going to talk about where to dig at, why to dig in a certain spot, and then kind of give you an idea of the layout of the land and maybe how to read some of the land of where to dig at, and just give you better ideas of maybe where to find some of that elusive gold at. You know, we all like that gold. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming along and sharing on these adventures. If you're one of my subscribers, I sure appreciate it. If you guys are not, I hope you consider subscribing to the channel. But anyways, and maybe we'll fly the drone around for a while, and we'll talk about the different dry washers a little bit later on. But first, I got to understand where I got to set up at. We just can't come out here and throw the dry washer out and just start shoveling into it. So we kind of have to scour the area and look around and look for that best spot that we think is the best spot to set up at. So let's go do that and see if we can find us some color. Out here on a private mining claim. Yes, Gold Fever Adventures' own mining claims. I am out here on one of our own claims. Well, as you're kind of walking around the wash area, you can see all the quartz. See plenty of quartz. Now here's a pile of rocks, so you know somebody piled those rocks up there for a reason. More than likely they were in this wash already, doing a little bit of exploring. One thing to kind of keep in mind is the area that you're in. The different areas, you know, some areas might be like you'll have big boulders and you'll have big rocks. And if you look at those rocks, a lot of them are probably round and smooth. There's probably an old river channel that ran through there, and that's probably why they're round and smooth. The ground might be more harder packed. Other areas might be more of a powdery dirt and more angular rocks, and there's not a lot of your round smooth. There wasn't really a river there. That was probably more like maybe like a lake bed or something. So you kind of have to understand the areas a little bit different. But regardless, you're still looking for that gravels. You need gravel layers, your sands. All of those are good indications of gold. You know, you just don't like muck, dirt. You know, that's that light stuff. You know, gold generally runs with that heavies, with heavy rocks and big rocks and your sands and gravels and granites. And so that's kind of what you're looking for, is that type of stuff there. You know, I see this little bar right here, this sandbar, whatever you want to call that right here. And it does look like there's some gravel layers right in here. This could have been put in here by the flow of this water coming down. It could also been tailings from something. And but I don't know what that is. I don't really see, you see piles of rocks here. If they had a big dry washer set up right here, and this was one side of the tailings, and then this was the other side, because there's more over there. But if you look at it, so you got larger rocks and littler rocks. So I'm not going to think it's tailings. I think this is piled up by the flow of the water coming down here. As that water comes racing down through here, it starts to make a little bend right here and starts to head off this direction. So it tends to start to push that material off to that side. I'm probably going to think that's more what it was. And there's just tons of quartz all over the place here. But you can see there's another little spot, another little nice place to dig at right here. Right up in there, see the rocks are laid in. Now those got to be tailings, I would think, right there. That's a thing of tailings. But see how that's laid in? You see underneath your smaller gravel layers and then larger rocks up above. That, to rake all of that down, would be good to get into also. Now, one thing also to keep in mind, probably eons and eons ago, this was more flat. But as the water runs off and starts to flow down, it tends to cut into these and make these washes, and they become deeper and deeper and deeper. And all the water coming off the sides eventually brings that gold with it down into these washes. A lot of times they're little feeder washes, like this one coming down into here that ends up into the bigger wash. Those are pretty good areas for gold because they're bringing it off the sides. Like right there's another little feeder wash. You get these little feeder washes that come down and get into the main wash. And if I follow this wash on down, it'll turn into a great big wash. I tend to stay out of them big washes. I have the theory that once the gold hits those big washes, it becomes widely dispersed and it goes deeper down. So you have to tend to dig more material, or run more material, I should say. So I like the little smaller washes, little rivulets we sometimes call them. Well, you know one thing, Arizona has some beautiful sunrises, sunsets. Could be some rain coming in later this afternoon also. You know, and that brings up another good point. Dry washers really only work when the ground is dry. There's a lot of gold out in the deserts, and the reason there's so much gold out in the deserts is because there's no water out there. So dry washers is the only way, really, to run or process that dirt out in the desert. So there's a lot of gold out there, and dry washers are about the only method you have to get it. We're going to talk about those dry washers. Now, I'm using a 140 Keene, and there's a reason I'm using the 140. I think, that's my opinion, so don't go yelling at me and all that and leave me a bunch of bad comments and everything. But I think the 140 dry washer is probably the best dry washer out on the market today. I'm going to tell you why I think that too. There's two basic types of dry washers. There's one that uses a constant air, and there's one they call the bellows type. And I'll talk about both of those different types and show you the different types of dry washers. Anyways, I'm pretty well set up right here, so I got to go to picking. Yeah, picking's the worst of it all. You know, the more I pick into this, the more I'm just thinking this is tailings. But it's got larger rocks mixed in with it, and that's why it's confusing. Because generally tailings won't have, if they use a 1/2-inch classifier. Ow, damn. That's why you should be wearing gloves too. Damn, that hurts. The material that you're running, you just grab it, squeeze it. If it clumps together, then it's probably too wet. If it just breaks apart like that, then it's fairly dry. Run it. If it's a little damp, you may have to run it a couple of times, but there's my setup right there. So I've got a motor. This is just a leaf blower. That's running the holes coming into the bottom of the dry washer. Since dry washers are not the most, that kind of hurt, getting that thing stuck in me. Dang, that hurt. Since dry washers are not the most efficient way of getting gold separates better in water than it does with air. That's true. But it's important to run the dry washer the best way possible to get the most recovery out of your dry washer. So let me show you kind of how I like to set up the dry washer. Now on this dry washer, I like to run this box fairly flat. I don't like it running a steep old angle down because I feel like I'm just running the material off. I want that material to stay up on top as long as possible before it comes up and over the sides. Now, if you notice on a dry washer, the riffles are backwards than that on a sluice box. On a dry washer, the heavies come down and they get caught in front of these riffles. And generally behind all these riffles, there's a dead air space. So once that gold gets stuck in there, it doesn't get blowed back out, and that's from the dead air space. You also see the different sizes of riffles in here. These are more of a Hungarian style type riffle. This is just a flatter riffle. So if it does make it past these upper riffles here, it'll tend to more get stuck down into these riffles because they're more aggressive riffles right here. And then once I run this and I clean this out, I'll show you the insides of this box here, what that looks like in there too. So the reason I like this one, the other one Keene makes is, well, besides their puffer, they make a 150, which is, or 151, which is the bigger unit. The bigger unit uses a bigger motor and it's a lot bigger box. So what generally happens is that box will fill up with black sand. All your dry wash trays are going to fill with black sand eventually, especially if you're in a black sand area. But once that fills with black sand, it tends to make that box heavy, and it doesn't really want to shake the way that it should. And that's why this 140 just works sweet. You probably only run that motor half, just a little more than half, to make it run. Plus the 140, you can almost run a dampish dirt and make that run. A damp dirt. I've almost ran mud. Well, I shouldn't say mud, but I ran some pretty wet material through this dry washer before. You know, keep in mind too that once your riffle's filled with the black sand, then you're going to start losing gold. So I like to do a clean out maybe about every 15 to 20 minutes. I'll stop, just empty the tray and put it back in and keep going. Do shorter runs when you're doing a dry washer. You'll have better recovery of the gold. Well, let me fire up this motor and start shoveling. The sun's getting closer to coming up. Running good. You can see all your riffles. You like to see the riffles coming in. As long as you can see those riffles, it's good. Working good. And you can see the rocks that somebody has thrown up. This is all hard packed. Well, I shouldn't say hard packed, but harder for this wash. This hasn't been worked. That's all good area. Oh, see all the rocks have been thrown up. Somebody's working through here. Oh, right here. See all this? They've worked all of this out of here. More than likely, these are tailings right here. And as you start to get further down, you start to see more and more evidence of workings. See, this more likely was a dry wash. So they ran it this way and they ran it this way. And then this ran down through here and busted open right there. But these are all tailings. So again, see that harder packed right inside of that material right there? It's got gravels in it. It's got rocks in it. That's what you want, is gravels and rocks. There's more evidence of workings right through here. Rocks thrown out. You know, the Chinese always had the habit of stacking their rocks. But, you know, us miners, we just throw everything out of the wash. And then we want to get over here, and of course, then we got to move all the rocks again. I think I did a good little run. Let me shut this down. I moved all of that, ran all of that already. I'll tell you what, one thing, dry washers can wear you out. All that picking and shoveling, it's sometimes hard to keep up with them dry washers. That's why some people don't like to use them big ones, because imagine how fast you can just keep shoveling through the little one. Imagine what the big one is like. You know, this dry washer, this is some type of a plastic. And so you hear the talk sometimes vibrostatic. Well, what happens is, it's like when you walk across the carpet in a room and you touch something and it shocks the shit out of you. That's kind of what this does. This builds up air, static electricity. So what happens is this becomes, you know, the gold when it's coming down will stick with that static and kind of tend to, you know, rise up. That's what they claim anyway. I've never really seen the gold standing up, but they claim because of the vibrostatic, it helps grab a hold of that gold. This is plastic. I hear people with metal, aluminum dry washers say, well, ours was vibrostatic. I don't see how it can be, since it's all metal and just kind of grounds itself right to the ground. But this plastic one is pretty good. This, let's say, this is one of my favorite dry washers right here. They make two different ones. This is the 140S, or the 140, then they make the 140S. And I'll show you later on the difference between both of them also. Oh, now I'm gonna empty this bad boy out. So, put this out here. Sometimes you can flip these and look in here and see gold. But I don't see no gold, so I'm gonna dump this. Let me show you this fan in here. So this has a fan right here, and what happens is the air is being blown up into the box, and it's causing this fan to spin, and that's what blows the air up into the box. There's also a counterweight onto this fan, so as it spins, it throws it out of balance. That's what causes the vibration. So basically what's happening is the air is putting everything up in suspension, and then the vibration is help settling that heavies out. And then that's what gets caught in the riffles as it works its way down. Constant airflow. These have a constant airflow. Your other style with the bellows, they don't have a constant airflow. But like I said, again, we'll talk about them later on here. And when I'm done, I like to just kind of scour my area, make sure I'm not leaving any tools behind or anything. I did a nice little run. Nice little pile of dirt there. But see, you can see your two sets of tailings. That would be everything that went through the half-inch classifier. That's everything that did not go through the half-inch classifier. You can always tell how close it was together between your two. So that was just like a smaller dry washer. You may have piles that are way further apart, and if this had muck in it, you could tell if it ran water, because it'll be more of a harder packed material. But when they're dry like this, you know it's a dry washer. You know, one thing you should always do is when you're done dry washing, make sure you metal detect your tailings. Rake them down, detect them, because you know what? I've heard a lot of stories where metal detectors, people find nuggets in dry wash tailings. So make sure you test your tailings. Yeah. You never know. You know, one thing about these piles right here, next time this flash floods down through here, that's gone. It's just going to push that all down in there. All the rock's been thrown up on the banks. Somebody put a claim marker here. They must have been doing fairly decent here. Look at all this that they ran all the way coming up out of here. Seeing where they put all their rocks? And there's the gravel layers underneath the rocks. They had to stop there. They couldn't go anymore because they thrown all the rocks up there. But these are all tailings. They must have been finding some good color in this wash. These are kind of what we call caliche bricks. Just a hunk of caliche. That's probably what I'm thinking. This was a lake bed. And all of this was just caliche, and that's why it's kind of powdery dirt. It's kind of deteriorated caliche. So it's a sediment. So if this was a lake bed and this caliche was the you know, false bedrock, and all the gold, when it just kept coming, getting brought in here, just was settling in. And then once it opened up and blew out, you know, the gold, of course, stayed behind and all the water drained out. Then over time, all this caliche just broke apart. Nice pieces of quartz. Something else you can do when you see quartz in the ground, flip it over and see the orange. If you flip quartz over and you don't see any orange, that means there's probably no mineralization in the ground, but this orange is a reddish dirt. And you like that red dirt. Red dirt just means more mineralization. It's just got more of an orange stain to the bottom. There's clusters of quartz just breaking apart. Bringing down the gold. You know, keep in mind, gold doesn't come from the washes. It comes from up here on the hillsides, and the quartz that's come out, it breaks apart, and through time and weathering and erosion, it works its way down into the washes. Now, there could be, this was flatter once upon a time, and there is gold inside these banks. You hear like the high river banks and stuff like that. Well, that contains the gold. And as the water comes down, it erodes the sides of the banks and lets that gold free gold. And then that's, of course, in the wash too. Now I'm going to give you a very, very important tip. A very, very important tip of how to find more gold. Yeah. If anybody knew where the gold was, we'd all be billionaires by now. It's getting hotter, I know that. Let me just show you something here, though. This ground is all flat. It's all flat ground. You get up here and you see the mountains. In the hot sun. Oh man, that made things cooler right there. Whew, block the sun out, it gets cooler. All right, so if the gold comes from these mountains, like let's just say when the mountains got pushed up, it brought the gold up with it. Now I know there was some big mining going on up here on these hills up there. There's some big mine operations going on. But as the mountains come up, brings the gold from the earth up, and then erosion brings it down. Now, which way did the gold flow? How did it get? Did it go that way? Did it go that way? Did it come back behind me? How did the gold flow out of this big area right here? So as you look, all these washes, they're all going that way. So that means this was probably flat once upon a time, and as that water is coming down, it starts to create these little washes, and they get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper over time. But if you look at the way all the washes are flowing, that's the way the water ran, or the way the water does run. So if you're looking for, like in a sluice box, you know, like I said, the little rivulets that feed into these washes, that would act as like a riffle in a sluice box, would stop it before it gets down into there. So it's flowing in this direction. So look for areas that's going to stop it coming back this direction to look for that elusive gold. I don't know if that helps or not, but heck, it makes sense to me. You know, one thing about being out in the desert here in the summertime, there ain't nobody else out here. I'm the only one. Winter visitors, they're all gone home. It's too hot for them, you know. They all got to go home. Generally, by tax time, most winter visitors are out of here. And then we got the deserts to ourselves. But because it is hot, we got to come out early in the mornings. And then we get out of here and then we hide under the air conditioners the rest of the day. Yeah. Oh, it's starting to warm up though, but hey, it's nice out here. It's nice. I love my deserts. All right, what I got to do now is take this material back to camp. Then I'll pan it out and I'll see if there's any color in it. It's just kind of I want to check this wash out. This is a newer wash that I haven't dug in before, or at least this part of the wash. So I'm just testing this here to see if there's any color up this high on the wash. And then I'll show you the difference of the DryWashers too once we get back to camp. But anyways, let's get back out of here before it gets way too hot on us. Look at those all pretty saguaro cactuses. Nice. Pretty. Dot is like a laser beam. Come on, you can see that dot. I know you can. Follow the dot. Am I the only one that sees that dot? All right, I'm back in camp now. I'm going to pan out my concentrates and see if there's any gold in it. But first, let me show you the difference of all these DryWashers. Okay, this was the one I was using. This was the 140. And the difference between the newer one is the 140S. Now, the difference is on the back right here. You've got these, I don't know what you want to call them. As the dirt falls in, it helps spread the material out there. And it's also got these right here. These are bumpers, and so what happens is they transfer the vibration to the box. Some people like them, some people don't. This is a good idea here just because the difference between this one and this one here doesn't have that. As the material falls down, it hits this screen, and what it's really doing is tearing the screen apart. It's just all these big rocks are falling down and bouncing right here. Whereas here, they fall down, they just hit this plate before they actually start to roll over here. The riffle trays are the same, basically. That's the only difference is these pegs and these bumpers on the sides. Other than that, it's the same DryWasher. And this one here is probably the next one that I think is the best DryWasher ever built. And that's the Thompson. Unfortunately, they don't make the Thompson anymore. But this is the puffer style DryWasher. And on a puffer, you see the riffles are the same. They run backwards. They don't have the strong, the bigger riffles in there. And what a puffer does is got flaps inside here. So as this bellows goes up and down, as it goes down, it is actually forcing air into this box. Then as it pushes itself up, it blows the air into over the riffles trays right here, and that's what settles the gold to come or bring it down. Does that make any sense? So see, it's got a weird pulley system on the back here. It ran by like a windshield wiper motor, so this goes up and down. Ooh, just like so. So it brings air in, then it blows it into the box. Now on a puffer style DryWasher, you have to run that more of a pitch because, if you had that more flatter, you wouldn't get rid of the material. It would just sit there and bog up on you. but because it's not a constant airflow, it has to be more of a pitch to kind of bounce the material down as it goes. They're quieter. They use like maybe just a 12-volt battery to operate these systems. They might not be as dusty, where these are pretty dusty there. You know, some people like to wear a dust mask, and that's okay if you do. And this is the big one. This is the 151. It's basically the exact same dry washer, only it has a huge ass tray in there. And this is what the tray I was telling you. This will hold a lot of material. You can really move some material with this bad boy. Then the difference between the 151, of course, it has the pegs and the bumpers on the sides. That's the only difference. But that's a few of the dry washers right there. And I've got a whole bunch more of them too. There's some over there. There's trays there. Some of your other dry washers, they've got this heavy screen right here. You've got a heavy screen here. They generally use a heavier fan. They got a heavier box. So it just takes more fan action just to get this thing to shake. You got to put more air in through it. And that's one reason why I tend to stay away from the aluminum style dry washers. I like the old plastic style. Some people have accused me of collecting dry washers. Anyway, let me pan this material out and see if there's any color in it. One thing, this motor also, this can dub as a vacuum bucket. So if you're out in the desert, you can crevice, clean out your area when you're done down in hard pack. But I just used it for put my tailings in. Now I got to pan all this stuff out here. I've got a 1/8" classifier that I'm going to use. I probably should have put a little more water in there. But I really like to use a 1/4 inch just because basically you could find a decent, nice little picker nugget that won't go through this 1/8 inch, but it'll go through this 1/4 inch. That's why I like the 1/4 inch. So check these well also, just make sure there's no gold in there. Okay, pan this out. I'll pan this fairly quickly. I'm just running a test is all I'm doing. I just want to see if there's any color in here. I don't see any big nuggets. I don't hear any big nuggets either. Oh, I see some color right there. All right, let's take a little sneak peek. Yeah, that's gold. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more than that, but I guess that's not too bad. So I'd like to see a little bit more than that. But that's gold. That's all gold. All gold. Gold is gold, I guess. I had a little bit of cleaner water. Maybe you can see the gold a little bit better. A lot of fine, look at that fine powdery gold even in there. And dry washers will capture pretty good. But it's not bad. It's not bad. There is actually a lot of gold in there. All the way down to the little fine stuff. Well, I got out before it got too hot. Sun's kind of high up in the sky now, pretty well up there, but I got out there and did me a little bit of sampling, a little bit of dry washing. So anyways, that was pretty cool. Found some gold. It's always cool when you find gold. Anyway, leave me a comment in the comment sections. If you guys got any questions, any comments, feel free to leave it there. But dry washers are not the most efficient way, but hey, out in the desert, they can be basically your only way. Just run them the best way possible and you'll maximize your recovery, and that's the most important thing. Anyways, want to thank you guys coming along and sharing on these adventures. If you're one of my Patreons, hey, I surely appreciate you guys supporting the channel. But anyways, you guys all be safe out there. Take care, and until our paths cross again, thanks for watching.
Living and loving, paying the bills, keeping things real, man, you know the deal. But when it's time for me to unwind, I gotta go someplace where the sun can shine, and there ain't no better place than out in the country. there's gold in them hills, and I'm gonna find it. It's a sight to see, you can't believe how the color of gold makes you lose control. Well, there's gold in them hills, and I've got the fever. And there ain't no other place that I'd rather be.